God has me studying the book of Esther, and he showed me something kind of peculiar in the book of Esther, and he wanted me to talk to you today about before you say I do. When we look at the book of Esther, you really don't look at it from the perspective of marriage, in the sense of before you get married, to the choice of person that God has for you. But the book of Esther has a lot to say, especially when we look at this book through prophetic eyes, because one of the things that God showed me was Esther was not the only wife that was influential in the book of Esther. Haman's wife was influential in the decisions that he made. She had the ear of Haman. Pillow talk, whatever you want to call it. She was negative. She looked at it from the perspective of, I don't know that she was a narcissist, whether she was controlling. I know she was out of order, because you don't really hear of any other women being among the men council to tell the husband what to do. And even when we look at King Ahasuerus, when it was time for, when Vashti bucked up against the king and did not come and show up at the banquet that he requested for her to come to, it was the men that came up with a plan to replace Vashti. Not a destructive plan, but a plan to replace Vashti so that the king could get a younger, fresher, new queen who would be an asset, who would come and play her role as queen without question. But when we look at Haman's wife being among the council, giving him advice and telling him what he should do, because another man didn't bow down to him, and executing a plan to come up to unalive, to put these people to sleep, because she didn't like the way that Mordecai treated her husband, and Haman didn't like the way that Mordecai treated him. So the agreement came between the husband and the wife, as well as Haman boys, to exterminate, to eliminate, because of something that they didn't like. So in the choices that we make before we get married, there are many of us who see these traits in our partners, in our men, in our women. The women see that she has a man that she can control and tell him what to do. And I don't know what woman wants a man that she can control and tell what to do, unless she's a narcissist, unless she is a controlling woman. Because most women don't want a man who she could tell every whim of what to do and lead him, and he just, okay honey, and just run right in with it. A woman usually wants a man, even though she does not like when a man bucks up against her, when it comes to her telling him something out of love or making a decision that's good for the whole family. Men usually don't listen unless another man comes and tells him what it is that the wife already said, and then he'll listen and take the advice from the other man when the woman has said, his wife has said the exact same thing. But before you get married, male or female, you really need to pay attention. Don't just look at the right now of a thing. Don't look at how buff he is, how fine he is, how well he takes care of you, how he is good and generous to you, and things of that nature only. And even it's the same for the man. Don't look at how fine she is, how well dressed, how she smells good, how she is, making bank, and how the two of you can build and become this great power couple and things of that nature, how your children are going to look, the combination between the two of you. Don't focus on that. Before you get married, before you say I do, look 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and ask yourself, will I still want to be married to this person? Is this person going to lead me, encourage me to build, to be great, to rise up, to not be where I am this day, 5 years from now? What is her advice, her words, her pillow talk? What is his words? What is his pillow talk going to do for you to build you up? Is he going to support you and encourage your dreams and your plans and your visions and things of that nature, and see you in a greater place, sitting as a queen, rather because you're his king, his queen, or rather it's because you are a queen in your own right? Is he going to respect that? When we look at King Ahasuerus, he was a lush. He liked banquets and liked to party and have the old boys club. But Queen Esther, being made queen, whether she made the decision or not, made the choice or not, she was still in a good position, because no matter how much of a lush that he was, no matter how much he liked to party, he was still a man in authority who had her best interests at heart, who covered her and protected her. Because when he was in a position where he couldn't protect the kingdom or himself, it was Queen Esther who stepped up, threw him a banquet, the thing that he loved. She was his sweet spot and knew how to touch the thing and get him into the place, the atmosphere of where it is that he needed to be, to minister to his heart. And in doing so, she covered him from the traps and the snares of the enemy when he wasn't in a position to see and to know what the enemy was plotting and planning. So her being in a position, rightful position to cover him, he also covered her when the time came for her and her people to be covered. What kind of future are you going to have with this man that you are choosing? With this woman that you are choosing? Are they going to be manipulative and trying to get things, everything that they want, and not thinking about you and not thinking about your future, but just thinking about how you can build them up and how you can make them pretty and how you can make them look a certain way? And even when we look outside of the book of Esther, when you look at Nabal and Abigail, Abigail was married to an upright, straight out fool. Made decisions as a fool. She didn't have a decision, because back in that day, women didn't have a decision in who it is that they married. They were betrothed to men. And men paid a diary for the woman. But Abigail, being full of wisdom, a wise woman, when her husband made foolish mistakes, she knew how to go in. She swiftly, quickly moved on her husband's behalf to go and save her whole family, because she had to. But if she had the choice, I'm quite sure she would have looked at it and said, I'm not marrying this fool. Because I can see 5, 10, 15 years from now, when it's time to make this type of decision, he's going to make a foolish decision that's going to cost all of us. Because when we look at Haman, when we get back to Haman and his wife decisions cost him greatly, cost him his life, cost her greatly. She ended up a widow, cost her children greatly, cost her family greatly, because she was speaking out of emotions, how she felt, instead of giving her husband wise counsel. What type of wife will you have listening to your wife, man of God? Is she going to give you wise counsel? Or are you going to leave her here still to function and move on, and you have been taken out by decisions that she has made? And when we really look at the world today, we have all of these men who have been unalived because of women being offended and in their feelings about things that the man should have walked away from. But because he had to stand up for the decision that the wife made, he ends up losing his life. Woman, what type of spouse are you going to be to your husband? When we look at the world today, you see the potential in your spouse to be great? Are you going to hinder that potential? Or are you going to encourage that potential? When a man puts a blessing in your hand, what are you going to do with that? When he sees the purpose, when he sees the potential, when he sees the greatness in you, when he's willing to celebrate you as a queen, can he look at you and see that she gonna take this and rise? Or is she gonna take this and bank it and keep it for herself and then see me broke later and walk away? Or is he going to not support my dreams because he's threatened and in competition and don't think that I should rise higher or make more money than him because he's the man? These are the things that you got to look at now. You're enjoying yourself now with this big, buff, rough, tough, masculine man standing before you. But is he a king? Is he going to be a Boaz to you? Is he going to cover you and protect you? Is he going to look at Ruth and say to you, I got you and I got your mother-in-law. And when we build our family, I'm going to cover us and make sure we are protected and make sure we are good. Make sure our kingdom is taken care of. And I'm going to look outside of us and be a blessing onto other people. And make sure that other people eat and other people are taken care of. Or are you going to marry a fool? And as for the women, what are you going to marry? Nabal? Haman? Somebody who lets you tell them what to do? Lets you control them? You know, you really have to look at what it is that you have in your hand and say, do I really want this? Will I want to be married to this 10, 20 years from now? Where is he going to take me? Where is this going? What are we building? Who are we making great? What are we building as a legacy? Can I raise my children under this type of leadership? Instead of just looking at, oh, we're going to make pretty kids together. There's so much before you make that decision. Dear future wife, dear future husband, before you say I do, make sure you are marrying a king who can protect you, a queen who's going to protect you without letting you know that she is protecting you, without throwing it in your face, oh, I protect you, oh, I remember when you were stupid and this, that, and the other. Somebody who's not educated, but then you have an education, and because you have an education, oh, you're higher than, instead of you respecting and celebrating and big upping, appreciating the mate that you were with and seeing the greatness of what it is that they bring to the table, even if it does not equal up to what it is that you bring, but bringing that thing together and making it great together and building it to be greater than where it is now, seeing it 5, 10, 20 years from now in the multitudes compared to where it is now. Before you say I do, look at that joker and say, do I want to wake up to this 20 years from now? The same attitude? Is this chaos? Is this destruction? Where are we going? How did I get here? What are we doing? And picture that thing clear as that. Be like, oh no, I got to break this off. I better run now. You know, like I said, I did a video of this same video on TikTok. And one of the things that I included was why a lot of men don't marry women that they've been to with 10, 15, 20 years. Because he sees the chaos. He sees the destruction. He sees the advice that you are going to give while he like to lay up and play up and be around you and things of that nature, be in your company. He doesn't marry you because he doesn't see you building him or taking him to a greater place, a greater level. He doesn't see you putting him in a position where he needs you, where you are valuable, where you're an asset, where it's something that he can't afford to lose. If he sees you just in a chaotic state, not moving anything forward, not building anything, not doing anything, why does he need you other than for the pleasure of laying and playing, and vice versa. Same thing with a woman. You don't see too many women really laying around with just men who ain't doing nothing, building nothing, being nothing, unless she's juicing them to get something from him. But women nowadays are making a decision too. I can't marry that. He got a bad attitude. He got anger issues. Yeah, I lay and play and do all the things that I'm doing for right now. But when it comes to who I'm going to spend my future with, he going to be Boaz. He going to be a king that can protect me. So really look into what it is that you have. And even ask your partner, where we going? What are we doing? And if you can't take their word for it, you better follow your intuition. Buck up and back out. This is Let's Talk Kingdom. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a blessed and prosperous day.